Hi everyone. This is a discussion about video posted by Strategy on YouTube on his YouTube channel. So, in this video, I discuss certain things. Um, the video posted by Chess Strategy does not consider. So the solution presented in that video is very elegant and very conclusive. But in this video presents some interesting uh, ideas which this presenter has thought about and which he thinks is worth discussing. So, this is the starting position, and white is about to move, but the threat is this black pawn that can become queen. So white is my strategy is move the horse to uh, e7, then move the horse in the next move to c6. So cornering the king, because horse prevents the king to move uh, to a7 and b8, and in this way you are going to force a checkmate. That was the idea. So let's see what happens. So I played this game with after I had the idea, I played the game with um, a computer, and this is the learnings I gained from uh, playing with the computer. So white moves here, then um, black converts the pawn, uh, black converts the pawn, black converts the pawn to a queen, then white moves to c6. Now, um, now I thought uh, the next move, white is queen can move anywhere, and white is going to win the game. But there is a thing black can do, that is um, check check the exposed white king. So uh, you can move the you can move the queen here and give check. So after giving the check, the black is forced to continuously give checks to the white piece. Uh, um, so by moving the queen everywhere, because if the black stops giving a check, white gives this check uh, a7, forcing checkmate for black. So black has no choice but to continuously give checks. So one way to give check is from this. Now I'm white is to move. Let's assume that white moves g6. Now black black can give checks. I chose to move along the C file uh, to give to give continuous checks to the white piece, but the computer chose to give a check on G1. So what is the purpose of this? See, now along this line, when queen gives a check, um, um, it attacks the king and attacks another piece at the same time. So the weakest square for the white, one of the weak squares for the white is uh, let's assume that we move the king here the one of the weak squares for the white is um, rook c7. If queen comes here, um, d6, it can the next move and gives check simultaneously. Next move it can take the rook. That so if queen can give a check along this diagonal file to the king, then queen can, then white will lose the game. So I was not aware of it when I played the computer machine, and computer quickly won the game few times. So I had to take back several ways till I learnt all the loopholes and all the ways this position can be lost. So this can be a loss for the white. So now let's continue. So uh, another interesting move for the white is uh, moving to f6. Now f6 is a tricky position because queen can give a check to the white king and attack the black pawn. So you will notice that queen cannot take the black pawn because uh, if queen took a black pawn, white will get a free move that stops, that does not force white to move a white king, and rook can again give a uh, rook can move to a7 and checkmate the black king. So this is an interesting setup. Let's continue. Let's I've discussed this. So this is an interesting question. I'm going to put it here. So I'm going to place the queen here and give a check. So now king moves here. Now queen cannot take. If queen takes this, and rook gives check and checkmate. For so queen continues to give checks. Now an interesting thing option for white is whether to corner the black king further by coming down this file and occupying these squares, or going to c8 and occupying that square. So so author tried moving the king to a6 b6, and it queen is again black is forced to give continuous checks, and it's a draw by no progress. So uh, so now you give check. Another you cannot give check on d4, so you move the king here, and you cannot give check on d4, so you give a check on d3. Now an interesting strategy, in a interesting thing that can happen is king moves to c8, and now queen queen cannot queen queen cannot give check. All the positions from which queen can give check is only this square. Now now if queen gives a check here, uh, assume that assume that rook blocks this check. Now queen takes queen takes h4, queen takes h4. Now rook can give checkmate. Now at this position queen can't take the pawn, and queen can't give check to white king from anywhere. So now this uh, this is a position that can happen in where queen makes a mistake, but there are several ways black can avoid this, and auth- the author may not be aware of this variation. uh, but this was brought up, this could have been brought up by the computer because author was playing the computer, and computer made some moves, and it gave check on h3. So this is an interesting case where white wins. And let me go back and see uh, how this can be avoided. So you are here, and queen gives a check, and king king moves king moves to h square. About again, this forces the queen to give this check, and black loses. So let's go back further and see. We are at this position, and let's see how what black can do to. So a good idea would be to get close to the king, white king, as possible. Again, this seems to be. So let us try a2 check. Now assume that king moves to this. It's previous his previous planned path to secure the rook. Queen can give this check. Now queen can oscillate along the diagonal to give continuous check to white king, and so this becomes a draw. Uh, so another thing to consider is white king and black kings are on the eighth eighth row, and black king is trapped by white rook on because of uh, rook rook gives a check on seventh row. So then he blocks black queen check by check with rook. Black queen check to the white king with rook and horse. That also author tried that, and it's an interesting variation. And he could not. He could only manage the best option again if the white does not make mistake. Again, I repeat, if the white does not make any mistake, is a draw for both black and white. So again, let's go back, and queen, let's go back again, and queen gives this check, and let's assume that instead of going to previous square, white king goes here. Now queen cannot give diagonal check. Now only way queen can give check is moving horizontally, and uh, you give this check. again. Now king white king can force. So if white king moves to d7, let's assume that light king moves to d7. Queen can give this check. uh, Queen can white white king queen can give this check from uh, g4. So let's assume that white king uh, white king moves to d8. White king moves to d8. Then you give check to d. Then you can again move diagonally. So we can avoid a loss for black um, by trying certain variations. So this is another interesting study. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned. So the important thing to take away is, when you are playing chess, you also have to think about opponent's weakness and your weakness, and be prepared for both your weakness, especially your weakness if you have a piece down or power down. But in real world, you may not know that you are a piece down or power down. Your opponent may not even let you know. Anyway, thanks a lot for your time.